Okay, let's go through some boomerang exercises, a nice little summary of what we've been doing. We'll start with some footwork. We can do it sitting on the mat, just so that I don't have to adjust the camera so that it gets me standing, but you can do it standing if you want to. So spreading the toes, rippling them down onto the mat, and then drawing up the arches. So dragging that mat towards your heels, dragging them up, dragging them in and up, dragging them in and up. Because we're sitting on the mat, you might be able to then reach around to your toes to isolate just that big toe lift. Again, it's more of a mental thing sometimes. So you can lift through the toes and just hold the others down. And you might be able to feel that arch moving underneath your thumb. And then hold the big toe down, or just press that big toe into the mat and lift up the little toes. Lifting, lifting, and lifting. Lovely, a bit of a pointy flexy, just to stretch into those feet, ankles. And then we can spin onto our mats. So sitting, starting to warm up through the body, getting that nice little stretch into the back, tucking, rounding, and then rippling from the tailbone, middle of the back, and lastly the chest, blowing out, tucking from the tailbone, chest comes through, and then lifting the chest, middle of the back, and hips, tucking, and ripple, and slide, shoulders staying in place, and tucking, and lift. Again, for challenge, we can take the hands off or stick with the other, scooping here, and then we're going to come into a rotation. So we're going to slide back into that rotation as far as you can, tap the elbow down, lift back up, and then rotate back into the centre. And then you can go the other side. You can still, in this is the sort of more advanced one, because you're staying in this scoop for longer. You can come through the centre and reset, obviously, but do what feels right for you. Again, holding on, or the easier version in the corner. Scoop, keep that tummy drawing in as that elbow goes away. And then one more each side. Tap, and reach. Scoop, bring that elbow right behind you, and reach. And then bring it back into the centre with a little butterfly stretch to round through. So we're going into our roll downs after a little bit of a warm up through that tummy. Trying to get that scoop. You use that towel into the lower back as an option, and then coming back up. We've been using bands and weights, so you can try and pop something into your hands if you find that useful, but pressing in, trying to go nice and slowly, using various options in the corner if you want to. Then we're going to do that boomerang, so crossing one leg over the other. I like to flex the feet, but you can have them squeezed and pressed in, feeling a bit more inner thigh. Just to look at your big toe, and then rolling down through the centre. And up, and then squeeze. And sitting up, rolling down, and back, and rolling up, and back, crossing over the other way, scooping down, and lower, up, and reach, tuck, to lower, and up, to reach. Final roll down, just a straight roll down, rolling down through the centre, drawing the legs in, hovering up. We're going to scoop up for our, going straight into our single leg work. Elbows are going out to the side, hands come across, reaching to the outside, and then we're going to switch. So it's robotic arms, and that reach to the outside, 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 and then bring it back into the centre. You can obviously lower down or keep in this reach, and then we're going for double leg stretch. So you can use that towel as your feedback, making sure it's pressed into the mat, and then breathe it back in, and then out, and breathe it back in. There's all sorts of different placements for the arms. That way, easier, because it keeps those shoulders lifted. Harder and hardest when they go up and overhead. You can also do some nice circles with the arms if that feels good to do so, if you want to get a little bit of mobility into the shoulders. So lots of options here. And then hugging back down through the centre. Super. We're going to roll ourselves back up through the centre. And then come into our boomerang spine stretch. So a spine stretch is where we're pulling the tummy back, reaching forward, getting that feeling underneath the rib cage. So reaching forward, rolling the shoulders back, scoop, and reach and roll. Blow the air out, and drawing it back up. Scoop the tummy first, add stretch, and then draw it back. And then your third one, scooping in as you reach, and then drawing it back. See how the shoulders neatly sit down onto the back, so you get a bit of shoulder work, and crossing again. Other side, scooping, blowing the air out, reaching forward, and bringing it back. And scoop and reach. And then your third one, scoop and reach. And then drawing it back to the centre. Because I've got that leg over the top, I'm just going to flip it over so that I can roll to the other side. But we're rolling away from our top leg. So we're doing our nice little scoop, elbow coming down to the mat, and then rotating away from that top leg so that we come onto our side. Tick-tock that lower hand down if you're choosing to come up into your power line, pushing here, making sure those ribs are lifted, shoulder away from your ear. So we're holding in this position. This is just a strength hold. You should be feeling it in your glute and into your ribs. Then we're coming up through the centre, aside as much as you can before you rotate onto your side of your bum, and then coming back to your power line here. And then lift and go for height and length of the leg, and lift. 3, and lower, and 4, and lower, and 5, and then lower to a cross. I've obviously moved a little bit, swapping the legs, and then we go down the other side. So rolling yourself down, elbow coming back, and then reaching into that power line again, so straight into your power line, tick-tocking that arm off, lifting through the chest, and then we're reaching up with the hand, and then rotate, and then drawing it back. You're trying to get to the same side to feel the same as the other side, which I realise mine definitely doesn't feel the same. 2, and then lifting up. 3, remember shortening the lever, makes it easier. And then 4. You don't have to be up on the shoulder. You just think about lifting the shoulders from the floor. 4. And back, drive that hip forward. And 5. And drive it back. Again, rotating for your final one. Back into the centre. Super. We're going to roll into our teaser. So bringing the knees in. We've got options, then you can start doing this sort of the beginner option, or rolling down into your mat, onto your mat. So we can come from the floor. We've been obviously coming from the ball, but we're going to roll up. Either you can hold in that scoop, just a little balance position onto your bum, and then rolling back down, and then you can start progressing through the teasers. So I'll probably do maybe 3. Oh, can I get that? 3. I'm trying to do it without tick-tocking my bum at the top. 3 on one side, and then 3 on the other. But again, slower the better, because you want to try and get that control with that tummy, so you don't tick-tock when you get to the top. See, I've lost count, I've done it so slowly. So 3 on one side, and then 3 on the other. So really, it's about just playing here and doing even numbers on each side. Things will be different speeds depending on whether you're going all the way to the floor or whether you're just doing your little balances. But it's just about keeping the scoop and the stillness in through the body. And down. reach. And then down through the centre. Super. A lot of tummy. Then we're going into our roll over part. So options, obviously, if you're not going all the way over, just little bum lifts. If we're going over, we can take the straight legs. Straight legs is actually going to help because it's going to try and send more weight, but it's not flinging, and we're not losing control of these legs. We're sending them, keeping them flat for as long as you can, parallel to the mat. As you lower back down, you're trying to keep that head low as well. Pressure into the arms is absolutely fine because then you can keep more control, especially as it comes in. Slowly squeeze, reach. Again, I'd probably do 3 and 3. 3 legs crossed one way, 3 legs crossed the other. And then you can use less and less arm into the mat. Just keeping close to the body as you roll down will get that more control. Blowing out, reach. And lower. And this is for 2 on this side. And lower, hopefully feel a bit of a hamstring stretch as well. And 3, sending. And then lowering back down. Crossing at the legs. We're going to roll ourselves up to seated. If you want to, transition straight into your crab, up and over. Step the legs back, step the leg back, and lower. Or just roll onto your tummy. There's no centre of the room, so it doesn't matter. We're coming into a swimming position, so just arms reaching down the side, pick the shoulders up, reach the head, a little hover with the head, can be as high as you like. Then we're going to do opposite arm, opposite leg, reaching, getting extension in the shoulder, and then back down, and then opposites, and then back down. So you're starting to stretch off those hip flexors. It's not really about how high you can go. With the arms, yes it is, because you want the extension into the shoulder. With the bum, it's more about the length and trying to keep the body super still. And then bring it back to the centre, coming to turn out where the feet are wide, so the width of the mat. Arms are reaching around in front, and then we're dropping those shoulders, really drag those hands in down your back, and then opposite arm, lengthen and lift. And lengthen and lift. Lengthen and lift. Lengthen and lift. Lengthen and lift. And lengthen and lift. And then bring it back. Hands go under the shoulders, pushing yourself back into a child's pose, reaching back. As we slide ourselves forward, we're going to come into that side sitting position. So sliding your leg forward. I'm going to face this way. Oh, I get to do my good side first. You can do your bad side, but we're hopefully doing a bit more even on both sides. Bent elbow, bent knee, bent elbow, other hand on top, sending that leg out the way, and we're reaching, bringing your armpit down or your elbow, stretching forward, getting that nice little hover, and then we're bringing that leg back into the centre, bringing it up to the top, and then lengthen. Armpit to knee or elbow to knee, down to the floor, and then back up. 2, let's do 3 on each side. I mean, I said 8 in one class, and that was ridiculous. Because these are ridiculously hard. So you want that precision with that leg, just swooping in across. Is that 3? Yeah, I think that's 3. And then we can go over to the other side. So for me, it's the trickier side. So holding here, hand going onto the top knee, armpit, reaching forward, reaching away, lowering down, all the way down onto your shoulder, and picking it up if you can, or rolling through that elbow, and reach, get the arm reaching down onto your side, and then keep the leg reaching as it comes back into the centre. Gosh, I can't count to 3. Going onto your side for your third. Lower. And then back in through the centre. And then sitting up nice and tall. Lovely. We're going to spin onto our bums again. so that we can incorporate the whole of the exercise together. So this is optional. What you can do, what we have been doing in class, is just spinning onto our all fours, doing our tucking and rounding, little woggle, and then we're doing some hip flexor stretches. So there's your option. You can go and do some hip flexor stretches here now, or you can go and try the full boomerang set. So I would probably recommend beginners not to try this. I'll try and do a variation in the box of what you could do instead. But it's really the flowy between the exercises that is the challenge to try and, you can segment them and make them easier, but getting the flow might be a bit of a challenge. So we're going to start on the mat, reach the legs up towards the ceiling, cross at the ankles. We're going to start with our roll over. So you've got your roll over to reach, so we've done that. You switch the legs when your legs are overhead, and then we're going to lower back down. As we start to lower, allow the head to lift, and then scoop up into your teaser. You slowly, this is actually a hip flexor exercise, sit up until we're back up to seated. Then you do your scoop. So you've got your scoop and reach into your spine stretch. Then we're going to do our roll down. So we've got that lovely rounded back. Roll yourself down. Hands go into the mat as you lift the legs. You can bend the legs in, of course, and then you roll over. Take a switch with the legs. Slowly lower yourself down, but as your mid-back comes down, as your head wants to lift, just go with it. Usually we keep the head down in our rollovers to get that control, but here we're going with it, lifting up, slowly lowering the legs, again, hip lift, and then over, draw the tummy, stretching forward again into your spine stretch, and then back up, probably just another two. So another two, one on one side, one on the other. So you've got your slow roll down all the way through the center, up and over to reach, switch the legs, lower down through the center, scooping up as the shoulders want to lift, hold, try not to tick-tock the body, lower down through the legs and reach, and then one more, scoop, bring the hands down, up, and over. It's all slow controlled, it's not just winging over. You might go too far. And then lower, allow the shoulders to lift, to give you a little bit of an oomph, but try not to tick-tock the bum when you get up to the top. Oh. Down, and then sitting up nice and tall, super. Then you can add on those little stretches. So little back stretches just to get nice and mobily, and little hip stretches. So all of the pre-exercises were the pre-exercises essentially to that little flow. It is a challenging 20 minutes, but again, put that beginner version in as well. And then switch, little lunges. If you want to get into that inner thigh, you've got options to either do inner thigh stretch on that 45 degrees or out on that 90, whichever you preferred, sticking the butt out and getting that 90-degree stretch. So you can just play here, but I would recommend a little bit of a stretch into those hip flexors, just because we have very tight hip flexors. So if you started the exercise, you might as well finish it through to the end. Give yourself a little bit of a hip stretch and inner thigh, and then you're done.